Without further ado, let me introduce our next segment. Our penultimate segment of the day is our big update from the Signum University Press team. So I am delighted to introduce Serena Higgins, our editor-in-chief at the Signum University Press. Serena, as I mentioned earlier today, one of the main things that really kind of led to the opportunity to finally seize the day and go ahead and start this press that we've talked about for a long time. The number one moving force was having the prospect of having you available. This is something that you and I had talked about for a lot of years. I mean, I remember our having conversation about this back in like 2015 or something. Yeah. And how much fun it would be to do a press and to find, with you finishing your degree at Baylor and, being suddenly available after finishing your doctorate, and all the timing seemed to work together so well. I was really excited to be able to get things rolling and actually begin the Signum University Press. And you guys have been doing so much stuff. So I'm going to hand things over to you so that you can share with people all the things that you guys have been doing. And then first, I know you wanted to talk a little bit about just kind of the purpose and vision of the press. I touched on that a little bit earlier, but I know there's a lot that I think people would love to hear from you about.
Sure, yeah. And I was listening to your segment earlier about how we fit into the overall vision and purpose of the university. So that's great. So if you want to stick around while we chat about that.
Yeah.
But first, I wanted to thank you. Thank you, Corey, for giving me this huge task and this exciting adventure. I was one of those investment volunteers for years, and not knowing that it would turn into such a dream career and with a dream team. So I do also want to thank my team. Now, we're still working on what our official titles are. So instead, I'll share our fun titles here instead. So I am the Grand High Grammarian, and that is spelled like grammary as well. So it's
a magical title as well as a
title. And then my just awesome second in command, Kira Tregoning, is the superhero of the many hats. She is just amazing. My internet went down one day earlier this week because I'm way out in the country, and I was able to just with a little bit of cell service message her and be like, do the things today, go to the meetings, and she totally had it under control. Sarah Monier is the sherbet of Allah, and if you don't know what that means, well then you have to read more Charles Williams. Nick Palazzo is our cinematographic genie. And Giovanna, I realize I have never said your surname out loud before. Is it Chinilato? Is our illusionist of the arts. Christopher Bartlett, of course, the mad violinist. And then James, I can build that, Tauber, is our bona fide blue wizard. So just thank you to these people who have done such an amazing work over these last 5 months or so. And I wanted to share with everybody, as we said, sort of the vision of the press. So jump in on this if you want to, Corey. Here's our lovely website that Kira and Giovanna and I have worked on. Giovanna has done the design. So the university's vision is, of course, to share exceptional and accessible and affordable education with a larger population. And so the press aligns with that because we want to share exceptional, accessible, and affordable scholarship and other kinds of writing and other kinds of material. So we're trying to fill that niche in the university's vision. And a lot of the ways that, Corey, that you've seen this working is through experimenting with what new technology can bring us. And so with James designing things for us on BlackBerry, and with a lot of creative, innovative ideas about what and how to get out there, we've developed some pretty exciting things. And some of the really exciting things are the new ways of publishing, which I'll get into in a couple more minutes. But we do want to make everything accessible in a couple of different ways. Accessible in the sense of accessible to more readers. So not only peer-reviewed academic works, but also works of popular scholarship. Accessible in the sense of affordable by average people, not the $250, $300 academic hardbacks that runs and only large research universities.
Right, that most presses don't actually intend any normal people to buy. Yes.
Right, exactly. It's only for research libraries to buy copies, not individual humans. And then we want it to be accessible to people who need or want their texts in different formats, right? Like audiobook versions or ebook versions or the lovely paper codices. So those are some of the ways that we want it to be accessible and affordable. Any other thoughts on that before I go into sort of the 3 imprints and then particular projects that we have?
No, I mean, I just again emphasizing how excited I am to see how the community it kind of grows around this, the ways, the opportunities that we have. And I know you're going to be talking about this a little bit more later on, the opportunities that people are going to have to be interacting with writers and with each other, for this entire process to be, I mean, again, to get out of the traditional, like, the writer is over here writing on their own, and then, the publisher puts it out there and then people pick it up and go away and read it, and having all of that process just kind of, more in touch, more really of a full community investment in that whole thing. I think it's going to be great fun to watch that develop.
Yeah, we're gonna have some pretty amazing ways that people can give feedback even on the writing process.
Yeah.
And we intend to mystify the writing process. It's not a book springs fully grown out of an author's head.
Yes.
You
yes.
especially are being really open with your patrons, your supporters.
Oh man, it has been awesome. I mean, we're going to talk about this more later, but it's been phenomenal. I've been so delighted with that so far.
And it really suits your writing method, but there are ways that we can adapt to other people's writing methods.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Get into. I also wanted to share about the vision that we now have a Signum University Press section on BlackBerry. So once you log into BlackBerry on your homepage, over on the side, you will now see some press sections. And so this vision, the new way of publishing, is also available here in BlackBerry as well. So everybody should check that out. Okay, I think I'll dig into some more of the specifics now. Thank you, Corey. I wanted to share the 3 imprints that the press has launched, because there were questions coming in earlier today about, will it be academic publishing only? Will it be nonfiction only? Will there be other creative works? And the answer is all of the above, because we have 3 imprints. Now, an imprint is not something that people usually pay any attention to unless they're in publishing. As a matter of fact, I haven't paid any attention to it prior to this. But an imprint is, for lack of a better word, it's a brand underneath a publishing company, or it's a way of distinguishing a theme or a topic, or more likely an audience. So we have 3. And the first is the Signum University Press proper. So books that are just under that imprint will be the rigorous academic studies. They will go through the peer review process. So they will be vetted by non-Signum affiliated experts in the field. They'll be sent out for an anonymous double-blind peer review process. And they will be in all of the fields that you love so much. So Tolkien, Inkling studies, speculative fiction, fantasy, science fiction, languages, philology, digital humanities, and we're also going to try to broaden into some other areas as well. So that is the academic imprint. Next, we have Eagle and Dragon, which is the popular scholarship. So it's works that are written by scholars, but for a broader audience. So think of all of the amazing public-facing content that Signum University and its branches provide to the public. So think, for instance, of Mythgard Academy. That is material primarily that Corey is presenting to you, informed by his academic research, but he's not presenting it strictly to an academic audience, right? He's again, unveiling the mysteries of sort of how scholars think and how they read and how they explain things. And he's sharing that with anyone who is passionate about this work, regardless of their education, credentials, etc. So we really, really want to publish works that are informed by that rigorous academic training, but that are readable, accessible by, and loved by huge audiences. So I'm also keeping an eye on Twitch to see if there are any questions coming in. So please feel free to send your questions there. And then the third imprint, Quick Beam Books, is the creative, the literary. So here we're publishing poetry, short stories, novels, perhaps some creative nonfiction. Very, very excited that we get to bring to you these three interrelated types of writing, because it's what we all love. I mean, we want to read these works, and we want to write these works. So we have several coming to you, and now I will get into the specific upcoming works that we have. And there are several places that you can find these. Of course, you can find on the website through the book tab and through the authors tab, but you can also go to BlackBerry and see the upcoming projects. And then we are unveiling little by little the ways that you can purchase and interact with these works. So I will go over the ways that you can interact with them and the specific projects. But I know you just want to know, like, well, what are you publishing? So I'll get into that first. So Corey will come back in a minute and tell you a little bit about his work, Exploring the Lord of the Rings. I have a volume of short stories that are mostly science fiction, fantasy, some explorations of bioethical questions, some near future fiction in there. You'll be hearing in a moment from the lovely Kay Ben Avraham about her novel. We're publishing a second edition, a revised edition of The Flower of the Cedar. Verlin Flieger, Dr. Flieger, has given us the very great honor of publishing some previously unpublished stories and poems. So we are working on that collection now, called A Waiter Made of Glass. And if you know Dr. Flieger only through her scholarship, I think you will be pleasantly surprised to see the different perspectives she gives you in this collection. There's some kids' stories, and there are some stories that are absolutely not for kids. You will also be hearing from Jeff Lasala in just a moment about, again, a second edition of the Silmarillion Primer. An academic peer-reviewed work that we have in hand that's really, really proud of this work is a collection of Arthurian essays written by Signum students who have taken one or more of the several Arthurian classes that we've offered over the years. So it's studying mostly recent Arthuriana. The oldest work studied in it is Tennyson, and then moving forward through Tolkien into stories published in the Arthurian tradition just very, very recently, as recently as last year. So absolutely delighted by that. And then a delicious poetry collection called Fallible Aesthetics from Dr. Jim Hamby, who is an English professor in Tennessee. And these are really beautifully crafted poems. The book is in 7 sections, and they're all quite different from one another, some formal, some more free. But these are our specific works. Now let me tell you how you can interact with these works. Of course, you can buy the book when it comes out, and the book will be sold through BlackBerry and wherever books are sold. You may purchase it as an ebook, as an audiobook, or as a printed codex on paper, or 2 of those, or all 3 of those, whatever formats you need and love. Most of those you will be able to pre-order. As soon as we unveil that, we'll be rolling out these different options little by little to sort of tantalize you and whet your appetite. So keep an eye on BlackBerry and on the website and on all of our social media channels. But then several of these works are going to be released in a startlingly old and new method. So Corey invented this awesome method of serial release. Now I say he invented, but really it's kind of like what Charles Dickens was doing. You know, crowds would swarm the docks of Boston at midnight when they knew the ship was coming in with the next installment of one of Dickens' novels. And we're essentially doing that now, but through digital release. So a lot of these works will come out on a monthly basis in installments. Well, how do you know which work will come out in serial release? If you go to the Signum University Press website and click on authors, there are little icons next to each author's name. And if it has this little icon with the 3 books, that means that their work will be available in serial release. And perhaps the serial release will have marshmallows. I don't know, it depends on the book. Some of them are going to be brightly colored with marshmallows. Some of them are more of a whole grain bran type of cereal. Some of them are healthier and some of them are sweeter, since you all were asking on Twitch. So that's how you can find out whether a work is available in serial release, and then you can go and sign up for that on BlackBerry, which means you will receive some part of the work each month, whether it is a chapter of an academic book, whether it is one short story, or a few chapters of a novel, or a section of a poetry book, or a chapter or two of a work of popular scholarship, or even when we have multimedia works, an episode of some kind of an audio or video production. So that's really, really exciting. And one of the most exciting things about the serial release is that it enables something that I think is radically new, which means that we at the press can accept individual short stories or individual academic articles. We don't need to wait until an author has a whole collection ready. And then we can dump all those short stories in a short story bucket and put all those articles in an article box. And when we have enough to make an anthology, then we can publish the anthology. So we're actually closed to submissions at the moment, except for those individual short stories and articles, because we've had such an amazing response, and we've gotten so many submissions that we have to slow it down so our team can handle them. And we have the schedule for the next year and a half sketched out, all these amazing things coming out. So those are the 3 ways so far. You can just buy the book when it comes out. You can pre-order the books or the products as soon as they're available. You can sign up for monthly serial release. But another one that I am super excited about is the one that Corey was referring to, about becoming a member of a community along with other readers and with the authors. And this is what we call the Authors Circle. So the Authors Circle is our in-house patronage program. If you love an author and you want to support his or her work, this is a way to do it. It is $25 a month, half of which goes to the author and the other half of which goes to defray publishing costs and to get excellent cover art and illustrations and great audiobook readers and all the distribution, etc. So we now have several authors circles live and open and available that you can sign up for on BlackBerry. We currently have Corey's, mine, Jeff LaSala's, and I believe we will have Kay Ben Avraham's open maybe even at some point this evening. So, and then very soon after that, we have a couple of other writers that I had hoped I could announce this evening, but I can't. So you're gonna have to follow us on social media to get those announcements, because we're just like minutes away from them signing their contracts. And then we'll be able to announce them. But if you would like to support the writing of any of these people, then please consider becoming a member of the Authors Circle. And each author will decide what they, how they want to interact with their supporters, but they'll invite them into a community. At the least, there'll be a once a month meeting, a live synchronous meeting over Zoom to talk about the work. Now, note, this is a support of a person, not of an individual project. So one of the authors that I had hoped to be able to announce is signing contracts for 2 projects with us. So members of his Authors Circle will get to discuss both of those plus anything else that he's working on. And then some people, their project is starting a few months from now. Some they'll continue their Authors Circle once this project is done. Kay has a second project in hand besides the one that we're currently publishing. So the idea is that you are supporting this writer to help them to produce wonderful work across their genres through a long timeline. Okay, so that's me talking a whole lot. You want to hear from our authors. So let me just encourage you to follow us on social media. We have our Facebook account, we have our Twitter account, we have our TikTok account, And you can also sign up for email updates when new projects become available. And while we hear from our authors, I'll take a look at all of your questions over on Twitch, and we will answer those when I come back again. So I think that we now have a little video from Kay Ben Avraham about her novel, The Flower of the Cedar. Do we have that queued up? Awesome. Don't have the sound there, Nick, so can you stop and redo your share with the video sound running through? Please hold. Technical difficulties. While Nick is getting that running, I will take a look at some of the questions on Twitch. We are not yet doing children's books, picture books. We may possibly consider doing that at some point in the future. We would love to be able to do that at some point in the future, but right now, just due to staffing and time considerations, we're not yet doing children's books. The physical books, the paper books are going to be printed through print on demand, which means there will be no inventory sitting in a warehouse somewhere. When you buy your book from BlackBerry or Amazon or anywhere, it will then be printed and sent directly to you. All right, Nick, ready to try it again?
Hi. My name is Kay Ben Avraham. I've been a member of the Signum community for a decade more by now. And I'm so honored to be among the first writers that the Signum University Press is going to be publishing. I wrote a fantasy novel called The Flower of the Cedar. I read it aloud and released it as a podcast, and then self-published it just a couple of years ago now. And we at the press are working on a second edition. We're already neck deep in the rewrites. And I'm really excited to share it with you all. The title comes from a fairy tale quote that those of you who are familiar with Tolkien's essay on fairy stories may recognize. It's from the tale of the two brothers. I shall enchant my heart, and I shall place it upon the top of the flower of the cedar. Now, the cedar will be cut down, and my heart will fall to the ground, and thou shalt come to seek it, even though thou pass 7 years in seeking it. But when thou hast found it, put it into a vase of cold water, and in very truth I shall live. I read this as a teenager, and it arrested me. It awoke my imagination. I couldn't articulate it at the time, but it struck me somehow as almost allegorical for the human condition. And I knew somehow I wanted to tell a story. It spoke to me of a heart-finding quest. And I wanted to put that into the story of someone going on a journey and coming fully to life, learning not just to survive this life, to endure it, separated from one's heart, from the core of one's vibrant energy in the world, but instead someone learning to live open-hearted, to grow and to heal. And I wanted to show through story how fraught, how long, and how sometimes lonely such a journey can be for us. That image of the flower of the cedar, in my mind, represents the inherent beauty and worth of undertaking a journey like that, even when the outcome is uncertain. And I think that we need story and companionship to give us the courage that it takes to go on a journey like that. There's a line from a poem by the Sufi poet Hafez that says, "We must feel the encouragement of light against our being. Otherwise, we all remain too frightened." So I wrote and offer this story in the hopes that it is a piece of that light for those who read. I knew that I wanted to clothe it in myth, in fairy tale. I think myth and fairy tale have a resonance for us that is deep and ancient. And I wanted to harness that power in service of this. And that is how the flower of the cedar was born. It is a tale of dryads from long before human history began. We see the world through the eyes of Lara, a young dryad who is born into lack, as all of her kind are, knowing themselves separated from the three hearts that they were meant to have. And to recover hers and to bring them to life, she must set out on an unknown journey, fearing the god of the land and inexplicably drawn to the Lamia, whose stories say revive hearts by an ominous method called guttings, while this unknown god reportedly devours them. She nevertheless leaves her home and embarks on the heart-finding quest. So I have taken this story as far as I can on my own. I am eager and humbled and nervous to bring it to you all, to the community of other minds and hearts, for us to create it together. We are making subscriptions for the story available starting December 16th. And you'll be able to read along as we're rewriting, reworking. You'll be able to tell us what's working, what's not working, what needs to be unpacked, what are you curious about, what doesn't make sense. And for those of you who sign up for Authors Circle subscriptions, you'll also join me for a monthly live session where we'll talk together about the story, about the rewriting process and where it's all headed. You'll get a chance to shape it with me. Who knows, maybe you'll even have your names in the acknowledgements in the published version. But it'll be a year-long process at least. And I just am so glad to be able to invite you all to join me in it. And we'll see where this goes together. I'm really grateful for the opportunity.
Isn't she lovely? I'm so pleased that we get to publish her reprint. And we do actually have her author's circle already ready. I was in the demo site, not the live site, my apologies. So we already have on BlackBerry your ability to sign up for that membership in the author's circle that she was talking about, and then meet with her once a month starting in December. You'll receive 3 chapters a month that she and I have already rigorously revised, and then you'd get to give feedback and help her to revise it again before the final publication after a year of that process, this 36 chapter, really beautiful novel that she has. So that is Kay Ben Avraham. Let's hear from another of our writers. Jeff, are you there with us?
I am indeed here.
Hello. Thank you. Why don't you tell the people here about your Silmarillion primer that we are working on revising together?
All right. In brief, the Silmarillion primer is what originally existed and still exists as a series of articles on Tor.com. But this book will be a sort of revised version, made better, stronger, faster, and improved. From my working introduction, here's a brief quote from that. So I will discuss, praise, and adoringly poke fun at J.R.R. Tolkien's seminal work in a series of preparatory chapters. They are intended to make your first, or at least your next, reading of the Silmarillion an easier experience, maybe even a more enjoyable one. Whether you are a casual Tolkien fan who'd just like to know more about the origins of Middle-earth, or you're already a long-invested reader, I hope you will find something new in this book. In some ways, this is a retelling of the Silmarillion. It partially paraphrases the professor's narrative, aiming to unpack some of the multitudinous concepts and make them more digestible. But this isn't a replacement. I want you to read Tolkien's own and far superior words for yourself. So with that in mind, I'm just going to jump right into the middle and just give an excerpt from a working in process chapter, currently titled Tales from Topographic Beleriand, a long-distance runaround in one corner of Middle-earth, which is a chapter that discusses everyone's favorite high-octane chapter of Beleriand and its realms. So this is how it starts, and I'm only going to do a few paragraphs, because otherwise it'll use up a lot more time. If you've made it this far into the Silmarillion, dear reader, this is where Tolkien gives you the chance to show your quality. Of Beleriand and its realms, chapter 14 of the Quenta is a literary map, and it's the one where the professor really nerds out on names, places, and even earth science, going nomenclative and topographic to the max. This is his jam. I dare say it's the Silmarillion at its Silmarillionist. There's no dialogue, action, or conflict, yet it's fairly important stage setting for what's to come. It even features a not-so-fleeting Lord of the Rings crossover. The chapter reintroduces the various elven holdings in Beleriand, which seems to be the busiest corner of Middle-earth. Yeah, there are other regions of the continent, and even other continents. Based on map sketches Tolkien made, we know that the Avari, the unwilling elves, are still way out in the east, and that all men and many dwarves have been milling about there for some time now. But as the Silmarillion is primarily concerned with the Noldor and their impact on history, and of course with Morgoth himself, It's with Beleriand that we need to become familiar. With chapter 14, Tolkien is basically telling us, yes, I've already talked about all the hosts and kindreds and subgroups of elves who've passed through this corner of the world. But it's been a while now. The Noldor left Middle-earth for a spell, and now they're all back. Well, most of them. And so there are elves of all different lineages and politics finally settling in. Well, here they all are in paragraph form. That way you'll have some idea of the status quo of this land, before Morgoth's wrecking ball has a go at it. Note to self, draw a cartoon sketch of Morgoth setting into motion or riding a wrecking ball. To put another way, this famously dense chapter is Beleriand's before picture, so we can better appreciate its after picture. So who's in power and where? Well, with Feanor offed in the previous chapter, his 7 sons have become the capital D dispossessed side of his house. Oh, I'm sorry, I just skipped a page. Let me try that again, sorry. Yeah, so the chapter starts with Morgoth. Morgoth, of course, is the big bad up north, flanked by the Iron Mountains, which he himself raised back when he was the Vala, formerly known as Melkor, and could actually do crazy things like that. With his original HQ of Autumno trashed by the Valar long ago, it's in the endless dungeons of Angband, the Hells of Iron, that he's now consolidated his power. Morgoth has lost too much of his ancient potency to go pulling up whole mountain ranges again, but he was at least able to erect the 3 peaks of Thangorodrim to guard his underground operations. It's suggested in this chapter that Thangorodrim isn't even proper mountain stone. Rather, it's the ash and slag and vast refuse from his workshops and digs. It's all the crap he displaced when he had his newer tunnels dug out, just molded and piled into mountain-shaped towers. It's like Morgoth's super sculpey, baked with volcanic heat, except replace the polymer with, evil. To me, this implies that the vaults and dungeons of Angband are at least as deep as Thangorodrim is high, and who knows how wide. The labyrinths of the Hells of Iron. Sounds like an epic old-school D&D dungeon crawl module is what I'm saying. The 3 peaks of Thangorodrim stink, while smoke fumes out of their tops like the worst industrial factories you can imagine. For miles outside the gates, the plains of Ardgallen are thus polluted and desolate. Quote, but after the coming of the sun, rich grasses arose there, and while Angband was besieged and its gates shut, there were green things even among the pits and broken rocks before the doors of hell. End quote. Which is an awesome little nose thumbing at Morgoth. Even from across the world, Yavanna's little green seedlings thrive like grass sprouting up through cracked pavement. I bet an orc is sent out every now and then with a weed whacker, but it's never really enough. As far as the elves go, there are 2 primary groups in Beleriand. They are Thingol and the Sindar, which includes Círdan and his havens, and to a lesser extent the Green Elves of Assyriand. The Noldor, whose rulership is divided into the 3 houses of the sons of Finwë, Feanor, Fingolfin, and Finarfin. With Feanor offed in the previous chapter, his 7 sons have become the capital D dispossessed side of the house. His eldest, Maedhros, calls most of the shots in the family, and all those Noldor most faithful to them. Fingolfin, now the High King, is still around, along with all his kids. And then there is Finrod, who now stands in for his dad, Finarfin, who stayed behind in Valinor, and all his younger siblings. All right, so who are they all? And that's when I go on. Nick, if you want to move to the next slide. These are some of the old visuals. We'll probably redo these and have some nicer maps. Can you cut over to the next? Yeah, yeah. That's just so there's a lot of diagrams like this that also may get reworked, but hopefully to helpfully keep things in mind. So at this stage, we've got all the kids and grandkids of Finwë showing who's died and gone to Mandos and who's around. Go to the next slide too. Yeah. So yeah, this just shows you who's where as the names are described. They're referenceable on the map. But before you go to the next one, so let me just zoom ahead later in the chapter after going all the elves and their kingdoms. But let's be honest, it all depends on who you ask. I mean, some people, even those shut up in their creepy Fallout Daystar shelters, might claim ownership of all Beleriand, if not the whole world, if you were to ask them about it. So, last slide. There we go. So, according to Morgoth, who is king of the world at this point in his mind, So there will be lots of visuals of this sort. That's really all I was going to read for today because there's plenty more, but I don't want to eat up too much time.
Thank you so much, Jeff. I can't wait for your book. I'm working through the Silmarillion again, listening to the Prancing Pony guys and listening to Corey, and then editing your chapters at the same time. Like, I'm really going to understand this book finally. So people have been just loving on it in Twitch. They're just so excited. They're really into the graphs and charts and everything.
Cool.
So as I said to everybody, if you go on BlackBerry, you can sign up to become a patron, a supporter of Jeff and his work, and then you'll get to meet with him on a monthly basis to talk about it. Now, we do not have an actual release date for the beginning of serial release for this book because we're working on permissions from the Tolkien state, of course. We're trying to do everything properly and in order, but you can certainly start working with Jeff earlier than that and supporting his work. All right. I think we may move on now to our surprise, which we have been teasing for a while now. But let me just remind everybody to please follow us on all of our social media accounts and send in any questions that you have there or to our email address, which is on our website. Anyone is welcome to submit work, whether it fits in the peer-reviewed category, the popular scholarship category, or the creative work category. Just keep an eye on the website for what we're open to accepting when. There's no limit on who can submit, just when, because of our workload and all of that, okay? So I know that there were some other questions there in Twitch, but we will try to answer them in the forthcoming days on social media and so forth. But now, we have a very special surprise for you. We have a play adapted for this moment. So I will let my absent colleague, James Tauber, begin for you. I will, hopefully I can share this properly.
The Mask of the Manuscript by Charles Williams, adapted by Serena Higgins. Dramatis Personae. The introducer, played by James. The musician, played by Chris. Phillida, played by Sarah. The manuscript, played by Kira. Dorinda, played by Serena. Alexis, played by Nick. Colin, played by Chris. Rosalind, played by Giovanna. And Caesar, of course, played by Corey. O Caesar, we have framed this moment's cheer for your delight, and for all those that here rejoice in poetry from long ago, in tales of terror, horror, or of woe, or songs of pleasure, victory, and mirth, when Shakespeare or when Chaucer sang great Sir, or Mallory set knights upon their quests to rescue Arthur from the Gallic theft. I build programs with my talent that can find grails better than could Galahad. Now, since by you, and in this Zoom at least, joy hath not wholly ended, nor has ceased our sub-creative high fantastic thought, we for some season of pure nonsense sought. Caesar, the praise of fair minds raised your own to this imperial and sacred throne. Now hear what Colin and Dorinda gave, what Rosalind, Alexis, Phillida made brave. Ah, too absurd, and yet a place should be for this of ours, for all absurdity. Solemn devices have no better thrift than that the Athenian craftsmen for a gift brought to their duke, as they, so we to ours, as he to theirs be tender to our powers. If it amuses, well; if not, forgive, and bid your children and your liegemen live.
Over this house a star shines in the heavens high, beauty remote and afar, beauty that shall not die, beauty desired and dreamed that workers of books desire, beauty the gods have schemed and mortals at last aspire. Oh, drafted by eager youth or revised between friend and friend, published by seekers of truth, Lo, peace and the perfect end. Lo, the press is now unclosing all the wisdom of the earth, all its occult lore exposing to the souls of mortal birth, and the books upon the shelves sing so sweetly by themselves. Lo, the youngest of the wardens and celestial defense soared about the heavenly gardens of all bright intelligence. Lo, fairer than her books, she rules them by her looks.
Here on my watch I sit, and all around the ancient masters of rhythm and sound, metered, patterned, rune and rhyme, concordant, moving with the face of time against the dark future and void. I am the Delphic symbol. I am poised o'er these treasuries of words and lives. I learned that authors all forever strive around me, here in shelves or near at hand. The mighty rituals and professions stand. Oh, search on endless search. Oh, striving mind, lost in itself with but itself to find. Whom shall trumpets usher through the door? Now hark, what rash foot beats the enchanted floor?
Have I come at the last to the house of all holy indwelling, where there's peace for desire and time for the printing and selling?
Wayfarer, come, but yet forbear, unless your heart be true and clear. Are you a script unfinished still, without revision or goodwill?
I was my father's sole delight, his dulcis filia, lass of might. He sent me forth, and here I am, that the high gods may bless or damn.
Are you purged as by fire and by edits made clean?
I mean what I say, and I say what I mean.
Is Zotero correct in your MLA too?
My citations are clear, and my style is true.
What are you about then, and what is your name?
To fill up a certain lacuna my aim, I am called A Short Treatise on Syrian Nouns as used in the northern and subnorthern towns in 500 BC, with 2 maps and 3 charts, by Walter Lackpenny, poor master of arts.
I had a Syrian nurse when I was young, who sang me into slumber with a tongue laden with rich enchantments. In a box that none could open, though it had no locks, she kept a broken wand, which once I felt in a vast shape half seen before me knelt, such as the ancient jinn are thought to be. And for her sake, let me be friends with thee.
Then may you be, for your kind thoughts, O sage, named high upon my prefatory page.
Now, let us hope that you are right for press, that Dorinda may approve and utter yes. Therefore, uncloak. Oh, alas, what sight is this?
Nay, but I know not, is there aught amiss?
What are those bandages?
Corrections.
Those?
Additions.
These long tails?
Appendices.
Alas, unfortunate. What wilt thou do when the severe Dorinda comes to view this loathed apparel? Fly, nay, 'tis too late. Caesar shall judge, and you abide your fate. Dorinda, yes, please. Is that you, Dorinda? Can you come down here just a moment? A manuscript's here on her knees for admission. Although there's no earthly, I fear. I'm asking great Caesar to look at her too. Yes, I know, but I thought he might give us his view. Hail, Caesar, great Caesar. It's Philida below. Could you come down here for a minute or so? I know that you're busy. I know that it vexes your heart, but a manuscript's waiting to know. I'm asking Dorinda to look at her too. Yes, I know, but I thought she might give us her view.
See, the judging gods assemble in the awful place of truth. Many submissions here have trembled, pleading for a little ruth. But the editor's a tyrant, speaking doom on many books. Only Caesar can restrain her with his talk of trolls or pooks.
From the machinery of government summoned to wait upon this new event I come, from many a subtlety of price and contract and release date and the nice poise of decision I descend. What need invokes the awful tolerance I concede?
From the loud turmoil of the Twitter world, from mastering barbarians, from the whirl of telling movie men what they should choose, and spreading in the vulgar tongue reviews, subtly interpreted I come. What need invokes the awful tolerance I concede?
Oh, awful powers, if ever I pleased your minds, though you must judge her, oh, you gods, be kind.
What then is this? A monograph? We must increase its length by half. To heavens, its prose falls into lines. Hashtag blame Higgins, it even rhymes. Now I have looked and seen with pain. I have looked once, but not again. I do not know and never knew what the press is coming to, what the children of the age think is meant by printed page, why they try to smear our name. Child, have you no sense of shame?
Aha! The study of a noun. That's just the thing for us right now. A rhyming linguist. They're the best. We should invent some kind of test to find philology's best verse, scarce distinguishable from the worst. We'll make establishment scholars run by showing them learning can be fun. Of course we'll publish it. Need you ask? Did you really need me for this task? Those who bother me should be blamed. Child, have you no sense of shame?
Child,
have you no sense of shame? Scholarship should be more lively.
We can't publish so unwisely.
All the day I plan and plot.
All the day I linger not.
Broadcasts, meetings, playing Lotro.
Slack BlackBerry, tasks on Trello.
Work all night from 10 to 4.
Edit run-ons by the score.
Clean up when you make a mess.
For it's I that keep things going at the press.
No, excuse me, but I do.
I do, and report to you.
You may be my employee and my friend,
but you
aren't the central pillar in the end.
Consider, Caesar. Let pity have a place. I'll look on the stranger and lift up her face. Shall the word of Dorinda determine disgrace?
One should not judge worth with a prejudiced mind. One can mend her and clothe her and straighten and bind.
Consider, Dorinda. Shall justice deny any chance to poor strangers reluctant to die?
I shall look once again with unbiased appraisal.
And then report back to my office palatial.
I will look once again, but if any can aid, call Colin. He knows that a spade is a spade.
Colin, are you there? Deign to hasten down the stair. Deign to look upon a shape to look that was meant to be a book. Deign to be the final judge. May she stay, or must she trudge?
May she stay, or must she trudge?
You disturb and distract me from Tolkien and Milton. Oh, quickly release me. I'm restless until one sweet author can woo me. So many have tried, but the rules of all style are simple and few. So Shakespeare has taught, to thine own style be true. I doubt me if this will get by.
I thought you might like it. Do read it and see. Alexis could add to the views of we three.
Alexis, are you handy there? Deign to hasten down the stair. Deign upon a shape to look that was meant to be a book. Deign to be the final judge. May she stay, or must she trudge?
May she stay, or must she trudge? Alexis, are you there? I cannot hear you.
I like that this study has maps and 3 charts. I know of some software that copies those arts. I think I could top this if I would but try. I doubt me if this would get by.
We all are agreed. But to stay Caesar's wrath, call Rosalind, make it a quorum at last. Oh, Phillida, are you there? I cannot hear you with my ear.
Say, Rosalind, are you there? Deign to hasten down the stair. Deign upon a shape to look that was meant to be a book. Deign to be the final judge. May she stay, or must she trudge?
May she stay, or must she trudge?
A better cover is required here. The illustrations could be far more clear. I wish that I could be first to lie, but I doubt me if this will get by.
Oh, Rosalind, consider. She's young and too fair to be left on the threshold in utter despair. Alexis, aren't readers made happy when charts convey information right down to their hearts? Colin, you love philological tomes. Don't send this one packing back off to its home. Dorinda, Remember, you said that you knew we need more works that would stand peer review.
I suppose we can try what revision can do. Let's see how severe of an edit she'll bear.
Come, tidy her raiment and comb out her hair.
Be these long words ripped away. Short will serve for what you say.
Not flap a winged conceit. You can walk on your own feet.
Of appendices, what need? Bravely, bravely, though you bleed.
Round her with the sun. Pluck
and pull till all is
done.
If corrections there must be, have them neat and mannerly. Wear the introduction straight. Manuscripts and their cats should be sedate. Make the thesis statement shine. Make her prose as good as mine.
Round her with the sun.
Pluck and pull till all is done.
Thanks to you who condescend to prepare me for my end.
Now she trips it blithe and true.
Now she looks as good as new.
All is done that we can do.
You pray now, breathe a prayer.
Forth and up to Caesar's chair.
Ah, Caesar, remember this Syriac tome so far from her father, her folk, and her home?
For I have had mercy, and we've done what we may. Regard her with favor and publish, we pray.
Of course, my dear children, proceed as you will, for Caesar I am, and shall be Caesar still.
All right, we have his word.
You know what with your fortune. Oh,
yes.
Do you know what with your fortune you have won?
The hour attends. Be the great rites begun.
Be darkness and the executioners nigh.
Nothing at all can live unless it first shall die.
Ah me, I did not know that it meant death. Shall I again stand forth and draw a breath? O you, my father's house, whom if I see it all again, it will not then see me. And then another eye upon your shelf appear in bindings different from myself. Farewell, the end is sure though it delay. Joyous, I pass upon no joyous way.
Upon the altar lay your body down. We cover you with shroud and pall alone.
Can all still hear me?
Yes.
Now on the postulant invoked with power descends the destined sacrificial hour.
Now parted from her maps and her charts, see from her wounds the deathly lifeblood starts.
Ah, to what end? By mere goodwill of thought have I this woman and my sister brought.
Have cheer. On the thrice darkened path of man, this is the best that any friendship can. Though not yet the change is ended, nor the working sin expended. Here's a fault and there one more. Here is a mixed metaphor. Here a reference speaks unduly. There a run-on spreads unduly. Back to suffer, back to bear penance and correction there.
Oh, hearken, ye lords of the mythos. The damsel goes on to the printing and destruction that marches therewith. The symbol is heavy upon her, and darkened the light of the sun. For the houses of traffic and commerce, the houses of learning and art, the houses of strong adoration are one in the innermost heart. For this is the place of the dying, of the darkest descent into hell. But listen, the trumpet is crying that all things and all things are well. And the table is every way perfect, and the crown of the kingship gleams fair. Since the feet of Sir Galahad entered, and he sat in the perilous chair.
A place is chosen for you, O newcomer, among the pleasantness of older books, in winter cozy, cool in heats of summer, where are no envious and no hateful looks. From wall to wall, circumference to center, behold your fellows courteously inclined.
All now is ended. Look, she comes again. Light, light, that we may see her beauty plain.
Hail, O you most fair world, I come to you as perfect as a book can be, brand new. O glorious earth, O happiness of art, O full imagination, make my part not quite unworthy you, and now install me humbly as the youngest of you all.
Take her, you powers of strong publicity, and of the world of letters, make her free.
Hear, you four corners of the compass, hear, you readers that are busy everywhere today. A treatise on Syrian nouns as used in the northern and sub-northern towns 5 centuries BC, with 2 maps and 3 charts, by Walter Lackpenny, Master of Arts, is published. Let's see. How many copies should we have? We print few copies of a book so grave, a score or so, some 15 for reviews, which the instructed Magians shall peruse. For Caesar, 1 for the Blackberry, 6 for the others, 1 for the author, free, and 1 in case such things have been before. A customer should want one. What needs more?
None. 'Tis the glory of the absolute, not to deny, encourage, or dispute, but to himself be to himself displayed, of whom herein we are a little shade. Oh, praise to the modern muses. Hail to the sacred 9. Theirs are the many musics. Theirs are the texts online. Patrons of all beginnings, your children hear and befriend, and breathe us by holy printing to peace and the perfect end.
Because there is no end but death to anything of mortal breath, because beyond the times and seas Shakespeare shall no more have increase. Though I could build a platform on it, you'd be able to study all the sonnets. We will with good dissolve our show. Tomorrow all shall vanish low to nothingness
and memory. Forget this bright solemnity.
Now think on this as nothing more than the rich triumph passed before. Your princely chariots, all is done. Song and the November sun, music, delight, the hour is run. All but the timeless dreary cry, Caesar, remember, all shall die.
And that, my friends, is the end.
Excellent. Excellent.
Many thanks to Charles Williams.
Yeah. So, can you give us like the 2-minute unpacking of that? So that's an adaptation of a Charles Williams play, right?
Right. So it really is the Mask of the Manuscript. He wrote a series of 3 plays for exactly this setting for his colleagues at the Oxford University Press London branch to perform. He gave them those names, and they performed it there in the library. And then his coworkers called each other by those names from thenceforward. Note, it is a cycle of 3 plays, hint, hint.
Exactly.
And his was full of inside jokes for himself and his friends, so obviously we had to do the same.
Right. I was I have to admit, I got a little bit uncertain when we started the sacrificial rite, like how far we were going. I'm like, if we continue to read, like, I was wondering, did you like diffuse some of the actual incantations?
I did. Yeah. Sarah and I
she didn't let me keep the good stuff.
And Sarah and I decided to cut out one ritual performance that she was supposed to give.
Yeah,
so we did tone down the invocation.
I saw it heading down that road, and I was like, "Oh man, it is a Charles Williams play, isn't it?" There we go.
Yep. No Kiras were harmed in the making of this play.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Well, thank you, great Caesar, for your permission and for your generosity with time. I find it ironic and amusing that we're the ones who made you go over time when the whole rest of the day you've been on schedule.
I know, right? Yeah, that's that was but it's all good. It's all good. Yeah, awesome. So, very cool. So, were there any anything else that you wanted to share?
questions, but I can go back on Twitch and just answer those there. And then for those who are watching the recording later, just follow our social media accounts and look on our website or email us with any questions. So
awesome.
Thank you very much, Corey.
Very good. Thank you, Serena, and to the whole press, to the press gang for your performance, including me in the performance, and then just the wonderful work you guys have done. It has been just marvelous to see everything that you guys have accomplished, and I'm so excited to see as we begin the actual releasing of material into the wild here over the next couple months, and so much more to come. I know there's so much more in the pipeline that's coming, and some of it soon. So.
Yeah, should we announce the one that the contract was just signed?
Yeah, like during the performance? Yes, why not?
So this was the one that I was so excited that I wanted to announce. I was hoping that he would sign his contract, and he just did during the play. And it is Mike Drought is doing 2 projects with us. He's publishing a book on the necessity of liberal arts, and he's doing an audio project called Exploring Beowulf, which is sort of his equivalent of your Exploring Lord of the Rings, kind of sentence by sentence, translating and glossing and discussing all of the issues in Beowulf. Very exciting.
Yeah. He was, the way he described it to me was, he's like, I just want to take everything I know about Beowulf and put it all out there. I was like, and you've come to the right place.
I haven't confirmed with him yet, but I'm assuming that what we're doing this year is going to be volume 1.
Yeah, yes.
That we're going to do, a 12-month release, and that'll be volume 1, and then we'll renew a contract, and we'll do another as many as he needs.
I assume so. So yeah, that will be released as an audio project by ongoing subscription, and then it's been really fun thinking about the kinds of things that could turn into down the road. I know as soon as we mentioned it to James, he immediately got that sparkle in his eye and was like, oh, we could do a rich digital text edition of Beowulf in correlation with like Drought's audio stuff. And
they're
oh my god,
talking about that, and they're hoping maybe they could use Dr. Nelson Goering's translation, but that's not set yet. But
all kinds of possibilities, and the kind of opportunity for and this I don't know. It's one of the things that I get so excited about, the kinds of things that an academic press can do, which is like beyond normally what an academic press tries to do, and I think there are so many like this kind of a project that will grow and put out new branches and just kind of enrich over time, become sort of at the heart of this whole like new way for people to learn and appreciate Beowulf. And of course we could do other things with that. Anyway, so much possibility for the future, and so looking forward to.
But to do all that, we need reader support.
We do need reader support.
We need folks to spread the word. We need folks to submit the things we're looking for, and we need folks to become members of various author circles.
Yeah. The opportunity to be in that kind of a patronage relationship with individual authors is, I think, it's going to be something that's going to be very exciting for folks to really be a part of that, as well as being able to get copies of the work and everything, but to be a part of that ongoing experience of not just of a single book, but of everything that author is doing.
I can't wait as a writer, and I know you too. Like, I have this collection of short stories that I know needs a lot of work.
Yeah.
And the best way to work is, well, for me, for some writers, is in community.
Yes.
So I can't wait to get this group of people who are just committed to sharing all of their critiques and their ideas and helping me reshape these things dramatically. And then I know for you as a verbal processor, like, you just love having people to talk to about your ideas as they come up.
Oh yeah, every time I have, I've had several meetings with my author circle already, and I've emerged from every one of them with like clearer ideas. I just submitted a draft to them, which I can't wait to talk to them about week after next. So yeah, it's going to be
to talk to me about.
And that, yes.
Yeah, of course, when the time comes.
Yeah, absolutely.
At least when I'm editing you, I don't have to deal with run-ons by the score.
not by the score. No, exactly. It's
Not a problem.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I will let you finish up, and you can reveal the mystery giveaway now.
I will. So I can say now that what we are giving away in this drawing that we're going to do. So this is we could take this as a final warning to, if you haven't entered the drawing, to enter. Type !raffle in the Twitch chat, and you'll be entered into the drawing. And the prize for this drawing is a free 4-month membership in the author circle of your choice. So of the author circles that are currently available, which is for mine or Serena's or Kay's or Jeff's, you can get 4 months worth of membership in that author's circle for free. So that is the prize that we're going to be giving away. I didn't say it before because I wanted to let Serena explain about author circles and what's going on